A coastal low continues to bring impacts along the East Coast this morning and will continue to do so over the next 1 to 2 days or so. Here to give you the latest and greatest information that we have on this storm system. After that, we'll give you an update on the tropics, the rest of the Atlantic. Nothing concerning that I'm seeing out there right now, but there continues to be areas to watch out in the Atlantic for tropical activity as we move deeper into October. So we'll do that, and then we'll round the video off with a forecast across the entire lower 48 like we always do in these morning videos. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it, and if anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So this is our coastal low, sort of broken up into two different areas. One is this big slug of moisture getting thrown back down into mainly South Carolina, and I live here in the central portion of the state, and it's just a steady cool rain right now. It's only like 58 degrees as I look down on my weather station, and it's just a chilly rain. It almost feels like December or January out there, but we got that, and then we got our main push of moisture with strong gusty winds embedded in it, pushing north. So things are kind of starting to go downhill across the tidewater areas of the Delmarva. It will start to go downhill in like New Jersey, Long Island, southern New England as we move over the next several hours. So if you're waking up this morning in these areas wondering, oh, where's this storm system everybody's been talking about? It's just offshore, at least the main portion of it, and we'll start to move onshore throughout the next several hours or so, and we'll just have a very dicey day of weather across this entire region. So this is current conditions with the storm system. Model guidance handling it pretty well, at least in the shorter term, meaning if you go back 24 36 hours, it started reflecting a scenario like this, and it's been pretty good. You go back a few days, there was a lot of confusion with models, but obviously things locking in as we have real-time observations right now, if you will. So let's continue to move forward. The latest from a short-range model, the HRR model, HRRR. This is what it could look like the rest of the day across the southeast. As we get into like the afternoon hours, we'll continue to get a lot of moisture getting pushed back all the way into eastern sections of Georgia. So it'll continue just to be a raw, kind of windy, breezy, rainy day across areas of the Carolinas. Sort of almost a dry slot, if you will. Not exactly what it is, but just an area of drier conditions across areas of Virginia. You're kind of right in between the northern mode of this storm system and the southern mode. But as the system sort of weakens, kind of maybe moves onshore, loses a lot of its moisture, precipitation with it, rain. As we get into this evening, a lot of it will lighten up and we'll just be kind of left over with some light drizzle, some areas of light rain. Could even get some areas of heavy moisture that could redevelop across eastern areas in North Carolina. But as we're waking up tomorrow morning, this system begins to move on out, and the southeast at least begins to calm down, and we start to break loose maybe of some of these clouds and things like that, especially as we get into Tuesday. But up the East Coast, southern New England, Jersey Shore, Mid-Atlantic, as we're getting into this evening, just areas of light, at times moderate, maybe at times heavy rain continues to move into southern New England. And then eventually some of this rain could make it all the way up into interior sections of New England. We could use the rain up here, maybe even some thunderstorm action along the Mid-Atlantic coastline. You see the splashes of yellow, orange, and red, so we'll watch out for that. But regardless if we're getting a lot of heavy rainfall or not, I think we're going to get some strong gusty winds up against the entire coastline right into here. And we'll show you that. We'll show you what they're forecasting here in a second. But as we start to get into tomorrow afternoon, this system is not done. Even though the moisture looks very sporadic in nature, hit and miss, we're still going to get very strong wind gusts and areas of heavy rain. And then, as we start to get into, say, late tomorrow night, low pressure still hanging around, so still some strong gusty winds up against the Mid-Atlantic coastline. Anytime I say Mid-Atlantic coastline, I'm meaning like, Delaware, Maryland, southern areas of New Jersey, and of course we get up to Long Island and Massachusetts and Rhode Island, Connecticut. We will continue to get some just gusty winds, kind of just a locked-in nor'easter. I mean, you guys are used to this kind of stuff up here. Haven't had a real big nor'easter in quite some time, but that's that. Now let's work south to north and talk about impacts. Now this is, if you don't know where we are at here, this is the southeast North Carolina coastline, northern South Carolina coastline, and we'll continue just to get some breezy conditions. The further you kind of work your way up the North Carolina coastline, the stronger the forecast wind gusts get. So this is kind of between now and the next 24 hours, basically the rest of the storm system, the southern areas of the Outer Banks, and, could get, I don't know, 40, maybe 50 mile per hour wind gusts. So continue to be aware of the situation here. Haven't seen anything too crazy, at least waking up this morning on my phone, checking Twitter and social media and Facebook about any significant issues out in the Outer Banks, but that could change today. The system is still ongoing, and this is rainfall between now and the rest of the events in this area. Wilmington here, I know this doesn't show towns and stuff on the map, but we work our way up the rest of the North Carolina coastline, the northern sections of the Outer Banks, Norfolk right here, Virginia Beach, up into the Tidewater and southern areas of Maryland. Strong wind gusts. I mean, you start to get into some of these areas in like the orange. This is where we could get 45, 50, maybe as high end as 55 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts up the northern North Carolina coastline to southeast Virginia. So be aware, scattered power outages are possible in these areas. And if we look at rainfall, not a whole lot. This is kind of the drier area of the storm, but some areas could still get around an inch or so. And then here's a graphic from the National Weather Service out of Wakefield, and their graphics are always blurry, but if you want to stop this and read it, for areas for people who live in these areas, certainly do so. And then this is max wind gusts through the next 72 hours. So Elizabeth City going for a 46 mile per hour wind gust, Norfolk around 50, almost 50. And so some gusty winds. Okemac, 52 mile per hour wind gust is the max wind gust that's forecasted. So it just says wind gusts up to 40 to 50 miles per hour are forecast along the Atlantic coast and bay, with 30 to 35 miles per hour further inland. It says a few gusts could exceed 55 miles per hour. And here's another graphic here. So nice little graphic from the folks down here and southeastern areas of Virginia, Maryland, and northern areas of North Carolina. Move a little bit further up the coastline. This is wind speeds kind of in the mid-Atlantic area. And we'll take a closer look at New Jersey here in a second. But you can pause that if you want. And just a closer look here. Some heavier rainfall for sections of Delaware and the coastal areas of Maryland. But there is a sharp cutoff here to the west once you get in western areas of Maryland and West Virginia. So we move into this area. Now, this is going to be a region where I think could see the worst of the impacts. The Jersey Shore, if you live along this area, even a little bit inland, I mean, we could get 45 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts today. Long Island, too, please be aware, big windstorm moving in over the next few hours. So just hunker down, just have a day inside, just relax, and just get ready for basically a nor'easter that's moving in. You just don't get no snow with this one because it is just still mid-October. So, but definitely a raw day moving in. This will get into tomorrow also. And rainfall over the next pretty much between now and Tuesday. We get a lot of it in New Jersey, especially in the far eastern areas of New Jersey. Long Island could get a few inches of rain too. New York City, 1 to 2 inches of rain. And a graphic for this area. Now, they got an entire slideshow. If y'all want to come, go find it. Just literally type in National Weather Service or NWS New York, and it'll take you right to this. But if you want to stop this, but like I said, they have like an entire thing right here for it. I mean, it's phenomenal stuff. And all this was updated, just a few short hours ago too. So this is new updated information. Here's a wind speed graphic, 40 to 55 mile per hour wind gusts are possible out on Long Island. So, yeah, I mean, it's a great graphic, guys. It shows individual towns and city names and stuff like that. This is Boston, southern New England, basically. And, just a nor'easter moving in. Definitely not as bad up into Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island. But you get into southeast Mass, Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, Cape Cod. Certainly some 40 to maybe as high as 55 mile per hour wind gusts are possible. And this is how much rainfall could happen. A lot of rain. I mean, this is some of the most rain could fall in this area of this entire storm system. So, going for almost 4 inches of rain in certain areas. I mean, even like over 4.5 inches of rain in southeast Mass. So a lot of rainfall in this area right here in eastern Mass, Rhode Island, areas of Connecticut with this storm system. So be aware of flooding. So that's pretty much one last really big update on this coastal low nor'easter. But the rest of the tropics, kind of just taking a broad look at everything. I do want to mention we have a newly formed invest. This is a tropical wave right here, but this is forecast to kind of do this number right here and kind of move north and remain out to sea. And then we got a new system right here. My face might be in the way a little bit, but model guys trying to latch onto this wave too. I mean, you would think it's late August or September out here, but here we are, middle portion of October, and we have waves popping off in the MDR, main development region, like crazy. But you know, I thought that maybe Jerry was maybe our last tropical wave. Nope, not so fast. And speaking of Jerry, this is the leftovers of Jerry right here. It kind of got merged into a trough. Jerry definitely underachieved. You know, it was forecast to become a hurricane. It never became a hurricane. It was forecast to be a hurricane right here just a few short days ago. And yeah, it definitely just underachieved, which is good. But here's these two tropical waves if my face was in the way here. And they are very close to one another. So, you know, we could actually have both of these develop. In fact, and then I do want to show you just a broad look at our coastal low. This is it. You can actually see the two main pieces of it. One right here, and then the big area of it right here moving into southern New England right now. But as far as the graphic from the National Hurricane Center, let's see if we have a new one. We do, but nothing's changed. This is Invest 97L, that first tropical wave I circled. This has a 50% chance to develop. Guys, I wouldn't be surprised if they have another area of interest to develop somewhere into here for the wave behind it. But right now, that's not the case. So if we're going over model guidance, this is the wave that's Invest 97L, I think. Yeah. This has a chance to become Lorenzo, our next named storm. The next name after that is Melissa. But we continue. There is a chance it could become that, but you know, we get into say Wednesday and we move past that storm system. It's hard to see, but there's energy right into here, and that energy tries to make the entire track, crazy stuff, in October across the tropical Atlantic. And then we fast forward to right here. This is our wave. You can see a big trough dropped in across sections of the Southwest Atlantic. And how can you tell that, you might ask? Well, you don't have hardly any moisture, a lot of dry air here, and you can see an obvious bowl shape. That is, I didn't mean to do that. That is some sort of boundary right here. But our tropical wave sort of slips under that boundary, and between day 7 and day 10, tries to develop in the Caribbean. In fact, the Euro, as we get way out in time, I'm talking about, I mean, we're getting close to the end of the month at this point, actually has a tropical storm developing in the Caribbean. I mean, that's way out there, though, past 300 hours out. What about the Euro AI model? Same thing, has some sort of energy right here, just never really develops it. So, and then the GFS. The GFS was showing some wild runs with this. It does try to develop this, but it moves it right over the Greater Antilles. And, you know, you can see an L pop up here. And remember, this is not Invest 97L. This is the wave potential behind this one. But, you know, we'll see what happens. If we go all the way to the end of the run, it tries to spin up a tropical storm right here over Hispaniola. But, you know, if you look at the Euro ensemble, I mean, there's a pretty decent signal for the wave behind Invest 97L, the one that has a 50% chance to develop, to get going. Okay, and this is something you see, like I said, more so in August and September. And if you go all the way to 240 hours out, which is 10 days, I mean, you would look at this and say, oof, that's it's a little bit of a signal right here. I mean, this makes up 51 members, so it's probably around half of the members if I had to guess without counting all the L's. But, I mean, that's a decent little signal at day 10. So we'll continue to watch that. This is the GFS ensemble from overnight. This only makes up 21 members. So seeing this many members is a little bit more impressive. But, I mean, that's a pretty solid signal. And we go about 10 days out, and you know, a lot of these members are slipping into the Eastern Caribbean, but that area that we were really watching in the Western Caribbean has really just dropped off. You know, if nothing ends up developing in this area, I mean, y'all can come at me in the comments and say, dude, you were dead wrong about that. And I would say, yeah, I totally agree. So we're going to continue to watch this, guys. I'm not overly concerned about it. And a lot of times this time of the year, waves do not survive out in this area. So I wouldn't be surprised if models downtrend, but it's not me saying it's going to, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does. Today's weather, I really wish we could figure out a way to make the winter weather show up on this. But we'll have to figure out an alternative until maybe WeatherWise updates it on this, and we can make it where winter weather shows up without clicking on these individual radars. But you can see our coastal low energy here. We got rain scooting across in Minnesota. This is definitely rain, but some of this out here could be snow. In fact, I'm actually going to click on a couple radars. Let's do this one. And let's do this. And it's raining pretty hard at my house. And yeah, this looks kind of weird. I think some of this blue is snow. So I'm still, weather-wise is a phenomenal sight, but I'm still trying to figure it out at times. But some of this is definitely snow. Let's move past this. Let's not get hung up on that too long. But there's a lot of alerts out west. You can tell there's a lot of energy digging out west for sure. Winter weather advisories here in this purple color. Winter storm warnings in the pink. Winter storm watches mixed with winter storm warnings across the Sierra Nevada. So flood watches continue across areas of Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, and Colorado. Wind advisories across the Dakotas and areas of Minnesota. So a lot of alerts in the western half of the country. Any risk of severe weather? Not really, just general risk of thunderstorms. And then excessive rainfall, we will continue to watch this area of Arizona and New Mexico, Phoenix. You got a 15% risk of excessive rainfall, so be aware of that. As far as today's weather, we're going to skip the eastern U.S. because we pretty much already talked about it for the next couple of days. But the south central U.S., you can see there's a lot of moisture bubbling up out of Mexico, moving into western areas of Texas, southern areas of New Mexico. And so this is going to give you some rain. And then by the time we're getting into tomorrow, a little bit of cooler air sinking south. So some of this will be snow up here into Colorado. But kind of a thin area of rain making its way through Oklahoma tomorrow morning. Haven't had a lot of action in this area over the last few weeks. So tomorrow is going to be kind of a wet day across Oklahoma, areas of Kansas, and surrounding regions. South central U.S., some rainfall will continue to surge through Minnesota, and then we start to get into this evening. Widespread rains across the upper Midwest, Minnesota, starting to move into Wisconsin, areas of Iowa, and then we're going to have a rainy night overnight across areas of Wisconsin, a thin area of rain moving through the UP of Michigan, but as it begins to kind of fall apart. And then out west, just a lot going on. You know, we have this slug of moisture from the south, bringing some thunderstorms and heavy rain across southern areas of Arizona, New Mexico, and then a lot of energy diving now with some cold air. So we're getting a big winter storm moving across the Rockies of Montana, Idaho, higher elevations of Washington and Oregon. And this is going to add up the snow. And then we got a low pressure kind of diving down, so bringing some rain across California throughout tomorrow. So yeah, snowfall between now and the next, between now and basically Wednesday morning, a lot of it. And just to take a closer look at Montana here, it always stinks when there's, these city names don't come up on this screen. I wish WeatherBell would fix that. That would make these graphics so much better. A lot of heavy snow in these higher elevated regions, and we look at, say, California. Where we at? And, yeah, a lot of snow across the Sierra Nevada. Feet of snow expected to start our work week. Temperatures, a lot of downslope flow. Not downslope. What I meant to say is return flow around this low pressure. So a raw, chilly day across the eastern states. Further west you get, especially west of the Alps, the warmer it gets. And we continue to have this surge of warmth across the middle of the country. And then this is the western U.S. Definitely a big cool down across a good chunk of the Rockies. That's all I got, guys. Dang, I didn't even get to 20 minutes. Hey, I do apologize. Y'all got to hold me accountable. I don't have a devotion ready this morning. Stayed up till about 12 o'clock. About 11:30, watching my football team, my Gamecocks, lose again. So it's really, and this is just me holding myself accountable in front of my YouTube family. It's honestly pathetic when you can't get up in time to do a Bible devotion because you stayed up late watching a football game. So shame on me for not getting up a little extra early and having that ready. I think this is 3 days in a row without a devotion. So I do apologize, guys. We're going to get a good consecutive amount of days going this upcoming week because I have some scripture I really want to go over. So I'm excited to do that. But anything else? Yeah, that's about all I got, guys. I thank y'all for tuning in. Listen, the viewership on the channel has been pretty steady, guys. People are tuning in. It seems like, I don't know. It seems like we've had some steady growth, and what could be a slower time. And we've had the coastal low. We've been talking about that, but people continue to tune in. So thank y'all for doing so. I do want to say, I did want to give you guys some updates on this. About literally a year ago from right now, a year ago from this morning. In fact, I just thought about it on the fly. I looked on my phone and found out that my YouTube channel was flagged for invalid traffic. It was a year ago today, this morning, and it stunk. And I can happily say a year ago, fast forward to right now, I've had no issues with YouTube during this hurricane season. And remember, if we go back, rewind it about 2 or 3 months ago, I was telling you guys, voicing my concerns about it happening again because it's happened the last 2 hurricane seasons. But fast forward to now, thank the good Lord, nothing has happened with YouTube, and it's been great. It's been a breath of fresh air, and it's been honestly a great fall for me and my family after kind of a rocky summer. So thank you for the prayers with that. If you're like Mitch, I don't even know what you're talking about. Don't worry about it. It's all good. But it's been a good fall, and hopefully it has for you and your family also. So thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all. I'm ready to talk about winter weather. I don't know about you guys, but we'll figure it all out. Y'all have a wonderful day, and we'll talk soon. Oh, and thank you for the happy birthdays, guys. I appreciate it. I'll acknowledge all of them when I go over all my comments tomorrow afternoon. But thank you. Yes, my birthday was yesterday. It was a good day. So just want to say thank you for that. God bless.